Looks like it's time to start going again. So last speaker for this session is Mihai Silviu Lazarek, who's going to tell us about the average order of a finite group. Thanks.
Hello. Good afternoon, I think, for you. In Romania, we have the morning. It is 9 a.m. Thank you for letting me share some of my research results. I'll talk about the average order of a finite group, but until then, I'll start with recalling some results concerning the sum of element orders of a finite group. Probably some of you heard about this quantity, which is quite popular in the last decade. So we work only with finite groups. We denote by O of X the order of an element X of the group G. So 12 years ago, Amiri, Jafarian, Amiri, and Isaacs initiated the study of the sum of element orders. The definition is really simple. We simply take the element orders of a group and we sum them one by one. Their main result states that the sum of element orders is maximum among the groups of order n when we work with the cyclic group of order n, yes, Cn. So the maximum value is attained for such groups. Obviously, when you find the maximum value, you think about the second maximum value. So what happens if you exclude the cyclic groups? And there is an answer for that. It was, you can find it in a paper of Herzog, Longobardi, and Mash. And this second maximum value is this one. Here, Q is the least prime divisor of n. Once again, the cyclic group of order n here, and we take its sum of element orders. And the equality case is also treated here. As a consequence of this result, we can the authors determined cyclicity criterion for finite groups. From now on, we will consider this ratio psi first of G, which is the sum of element orders of G over the sum of element orders of the cyclic group with order G elements. Well, if this quantity is greater than 7 over 11, which is the psi first for the Klein-4 group, then the group is cyclic. We remark that this bound 7 over 11 is the best possible one since this group is not cyclic. The equality case is also treated, and there was main interest in proving some sort of results like this one. So we see that if psi first is greater than a quantity, then we have a criterion for the group to be cyclic. Can someone find a criterion for nilpotency or solvability? And this kind of stuff were proved. Here we have criterion for nilpotency. It was proved by my former PhD advisor, Professor Târnăuceanu. So if psi first of G is greater than 13 over 21, then the group is nilpotent. Again, we have the equality case is also treated here. Again, we remark that this bound is obtained when we work exactly with the first non-nilpotent group, yes, the S3, the symmetric group of degree 3. Here is a result which outlines the 4 largest values which are attained by Psi-first, and these are this one and these 3 from this set. Also, these values are attained exactly for these groups. Yes, some direct products between the quaternion group and the cyclic group of order M and SOD. The Kleinfeld group, direct product with again a cyclic group of order M when N is odd. These are the 4 largest values that may be attained by Psi-first. Then we have a criterion for supersolvability. It was proved by Banyasat, Azad, and Khosravi. If Psi-first of G is greater than 31/77, and this is the Psi-first for A4, then G is supersolvable. Again, A4, you know that this is the first non-supersolvable group. And finally, we go to solvability. Again, here, Sokolow-Gobardi and Marsh gave a first criterion. If Psi-first of G is greater than this ratio, then G is solvable. But we remark that our pattern is not continued, because up to this point, we saw that the best bounds are attained by the first non-cyclic group, the first non-nilpotent group, the first non-supersolvable group. And now we have this ratio, which is a little greater than the Psi-first for the first non-solvable group, which is A5. Can someone get a better bound than this one? And the answer is affirmative, and it was proven in 2 papers. So indeed, if Psi-first of G is greater than Psi-first of A5, then the group is solvable. Again, we see the equality case is already treated. These are some criterions for the nature of a finite group if we work with sum of element orders. There are other quantities which were used in the literature to determine other such criteria. We have Psi-second of G, which will be the sum of element orders over the square of the order of the group, or L of G, which is the product of all element orders up to the power 1 over the order of G. This L of G is actually in a paper which is published in the Bulletin of the Australian Mathematical Society. You know it better. And from now I will talk about the average order. We can say that the study started in 2011 when Jacques and Sapir used this quantity, the average order of a finite group G. It is obviously the sum of element orders over the size of G, and he used it to estimate the number of conjugacy classes of a finite group, and he proved these results. The number of conjugacy classes is greater than the average order of G, which is also greater than the average order for the center of the group. And he poses a question in his article. If we take a finite P group and the normal abelian subgroup N of that group, it is true that the average order would be greater than the square root of the average order of n. And this question did not receive an answer up to last winter, I think, when Cucru, Moreto, and Zarin gave a negative answer, and actually they prove a stronger result. More exactly, if we take a real positive number and the prime p, which is greater than 3 over this real number, then we can find a finite p group with normal abelian subgroup n, such that the average order is less than the average order of n to the power c. So this theorem would be the same question as here if we take c to be 1 over 2. Also, the three authors pose a conjecture in their paper, and it sounds like this: if we have a finite group and its average order is less than the average order of A5, again the first non-solvable group, then the group is solvable. And I and the Professor Tărnăuceanu tried to provide an answer for this problem, and we proved a partial result, and I'll state it a little later. Also, we proved other criteria which uses the average order of a finite group G, and we were also interested in some connections with calculus, and let me outline what we managed to do. First of all, by n2 we will denote the size of the set containing the elements of order 2 in a group. And here are some results proved by Edmonds, Norwood, and Potter. More exactly, if in a group G we have at least 3/4 of the elements are of order 2, then the group is elementary abelian. Also, if there are at least one quarter of the group elements are of order 2, but we subtract 1 from this quantity, then J is solvable, or G is isomorphic to a direct product between A5 and M copies of C2. Okay, we will try to use these results in a proof. This is a preliminary result which we are going to use. It works when we work with a group which has at least 3 distinct element orders. So we take positive real number C, a finite group G of order n, and here we have the possible element orders of G in increasing order. And again, R must be greater than 3, so we should have at least 3 distinct element orders here. By NDI, we denote the size of the set containing the element orders of order Di. And if the average order is less than this positive real number, then the number of elements of order D2, yes, so this will be the first element order, which is not trivial, it is greater than this quantity. Okay. Here we have a first main result, which states that if the average order is less than 13 over 6, which is the average order of S3, then G is an elementary abelian Q group. Obviously, you can think that this result is also some sort of criterion for nilpotency, because S3 is the first non-nilpotent group. Here is a sketch of the proof. If we have two element orders, then obviously this should be 1 and prime P. So the group is actually a P group. If P is true, then the group is elementary abelian, then we are done. If P is greater than 3, the average order of G would be greater than 13 over 6, so we contradict the hypothesis. So further, we can assume that we have at least 3 distinct element orders, and we may apply the first lemma from here. If there is no element of order 2, so D2 is greater than 3, the average order also is greater than 13 over 6, so again a contradiction, so D2 must be 2. If we use lemma 1, then we get that the number of elements of order 2 is greater than this quantity. And if we take the order of G to be greater than 24, then the number of elements of order 2 is greater than 3/4 of the order of G. And we apply theorem 10 to deduce that G is an elementary abelian Q group. And if we take the other orders from 1 to 23, we can use GAP to check that G is once again an elementary abelian Q group. Also, we can characterize the elementary abelian Q groups because the converse of this result also holds. This happens because the average order for an elementary abelian Q group would be less than 2, so less than 13 over 6. So we have a result with if and only if characterization for these groups. Also, from the previous result, we can state that there are no finite groups whose average order are between 2 and 13 over 6. And this means that there is no finite group which has an average order of 2. Also, this also happens if we are interested in the value 3. Yes, there are no finite groups whose average orders are 3. So one interesting open question would be which are the integer values for the average order. And if you use GAP and you search through the list of the groups with order at most 5,000, you obtain 6 examples besides the trivial case. So these are some integer values, yes, 17, 65. The groups seem that they are formed with a semi-direct product between C7 and C3. You see that this appears quite often. Here we have an example of an abelian group, yes, whose average order is an integer value. And this is another preliminary result which states an explicit formula for computing the average order for such a group. We needed this result because at some point when we proved theorem 12, we arrived to a group of this type. Yes, so you need to know how to compute its average order, and that formula helped us. So our partial answer to Cook-Ross conjecture states that if the average order is less than 11 over 4, then the group is solvable. Obviously, this is not the best bound, yes, because C4 is solvable. So someone should fill this gap between 2.75, our bound, and that bound from the conjecture, which is 3.52. Yes, it is not a really big difference, but still a difference. I don't know if you see this last row, but we can prove the conjecture if we add a supplementary hypothesis. So if the average order is less than the average order of A5, and we add the condition that the exponent of the group is not divisible by 3 and 4, then the group is solvable. But I don't know how to prove this conjecture if we remove this condition concerning the exponent of G. Finally, if we see the average order as some sort of a function, and we take its range or image, this would mean to construct a set containing all average orders for all finite groups. We would be interested in some connections with calculus. So one can prove that any integer which is greater than 2 is an adherent point for this set. This means that we can build a sequence of groups such that when we take this limit, we get that integer. This sequence is constructed using some direct products of cyclic P groups. Also, we would like to know if we can say something about the density of this set in an interval. So if we take an interval I of this form, A to infinity, and A is less than 13/6, then for sure our set MO is not dense in E, because we saw that there are infinitely many values located at the left of this value which are not attained by the average order. So the question would be what happens if A is greater than this ratio. And we have an answer if A is exactly 13/6, but it would be interesting to check what happens if A is greater than this ratio. But if A is exactly this ratio, then one can prove that in this small interval, we can find a finite number of values of the average order. So there is a finite number of groups whose average order is located in this small interval. So this means that there are infinitely many values which are not attained by the average order of a finite group. So this set is not dense in this interval. That would be all. Some references, mainly all papers are published in some well-known algebra journals. My results are from reference 12. It is a research paper. It is not published yet. It is submitted, and so on. I would like to thank my university for supporting my research, and I would like to thank you for your attention and for letting me share my results. If I expect to someone to ask me something about the presentation, but if you have a question maybe later, you can reach me at this email address. Thank you.